Money feels powerful because it turns almost anything into a number. Welcome to another video based on the book What People Get Wrong About Economics, a guide to the core concepts by Library of Ideas. Today I tell you about money and why it is not wealth itself, but a tool for carrying value. Imagine selling an old bicycle on a Saturday morning. Someone checks the brakes, nods, taps their phone, and a number appears in your bank account. Later that day, you use part of that number to pay a mechanic. No one asks for the bicycle. No one needs to swap tools, food, or favors. A simple figure moves from one screen to another, and life carries on. It feels obvious, almost boring. But that boring little number is doing something extraordinary. It separates value from a specific object and lets it move somewhere else. The danger begins when we forget that money is only the carrier. Because if money is mistaken for wealth itself, then printing more numbers starts to look like creating prosperity. And that is where the confusion begins. It is a mild Saturday morning in Warsaw. Families walk through the park, children chase pigeons. Tomasz stands beside a bench with a used bicycle. Hannah arrives on time. She walks around the bike, checks the brakes, adjusts the seat, and asks a few simple questions. There is no long negotiation, no awkward search for trust. Just two people deciding whether this object should move from one life to another. She nods. A moment later, Tomasz feels his phone vibrate. He opens his banking app. A number has appeared on the screen. The transfer is done. The bicycle is now hers. They shake hands and both walk away satisfied. Later that afternoon, Tomasz drives to a small garage on the edge of the city. His car has needed repair for weeks. The mechanic explains what was fixed, wipes his hands on a cloth, and gives the price. No one mentions bicycles. The mechanic does not need one. Tomasz does not need to find a garage owner who happens to want exactly what he sold that morning. He simply takes out his phone and confirms another transfer. The mechanic checks his own screen, nods, and returns to work. A number has moved from one account to another. The bicycle is gone, the car works again. The city continues as before, and everything feels almost too easy to notice. No awkward swapping, no matching of needs by luck, no long chain of favors to remember. Money has separated value from one object and allowed it to travel somewhere else. That is why this ordinary scene matters. It shows money doing its simplest job, carrying value from one exchange to the next. The conclusion seems obvious. Money is wealth. The more you have, the richer you are. A person with a high balance in the bank must be better off than someone with very little. And if a country has more money moving through the economy, then surely that country must be more prosperous. It feels like common sense. Numbers are easy to see. They can be counted, compared, ranked, and shown on a screen. When someone's account balance grows, it looks like progress. When a government creates more money, it can look as if the whole country has somehow become richer. The equation forms almost automatically in the mind. Money equals value. If you hold a lot of it, you must hold something real. If the state increases the supply, perhaps it is increasing wealth itself. And there is a reason this mistake feels convincing. Money does buy things. It opens doors. It pays rent, settles debts, and makes daily life far easier than barter ever could. Without it, even simple exchanges become slow and awkward. But this clarity hides the confusion, because money is not the thing itself. It is the symbol. It is the tool that points towards value, carries value, and transfers value. But it is not the value it represents. The shift begins with one small change in wording. Money is not value itself. It is a carrier of value. That is where the word becomes clearer. Money, not as treasure, not as wealth sitting quietly on a screen. Money is a tool that makes exchange easier. Instead of searching for someone who both wants your bicycle and owns exactly what you need, you accept a number. Then that number can travel somewhere else. It also helps people compare things that are completely different. A car repair, a meal, a book, a train ticket. None of them are the same kind of thing, and yet money allows them to be spoken about in one shared unit. That sounds simple, because humans adore pretending that numbers make life tidy. But it is powerful. Without that common unit, planning becomes much harder. Prices become harder to compare. Choices become slower and more confused. And money carries value through time. Tomasz can sell the bicycle today and use the money tomorrow, next week, or next month. The purchasing power is stored in that figure on his screen. But he does not want the number for its own sake. He does not admire it like a painting. He wants what it allows him to obtain later. Money does not feed him, transport him, or fix his car directly. It makes those things possible. The distinction is subtle, yet everything depends on it. Money has three simple roles. First, it works as a medium of exchange. Tomasz does not need to find a mechanic who wants a bicycle. The number in his account bridges that gap. Second, money is a unit of account. A repair, a loaf of bread, a winter coat, and a train ticket can all be compared in the same language. That makes planning possible. Without it, daily choices become a guessing game, and humanity already guesses badly enough without help. Third, money stores value. It lets purchasing power move through time. Tomasz can sell the bicycle today and use the money later. But none of this makes money wealth itself. Real wealth is in skills, tools, roads, hospitals, software, health, and organization. Money is the map, wealth is the territory. Printing more maps does not build more bridges. But money only works while people trust it. Its usefulness depends on stability. If the number in your account buys less every month, money stops feeling like a bridge to the future and starts feeling like ice melting in your hand. People spend quickly not because they suddenly love shopping, but because waiting becomes risky. This happens when the supply of money grows faster than real production. Too many units chase too few goods. Prices rise not because every loaf, ticket, or repair has become more valuable, but because each unit of money carries less purchasing power. In places like Buenos Aires or Istanbul, people learn this not from theory, but from daily life. So money carries attention. It helps strangers coordinate across time and space, yet it can also be shaped by political decisions. When money becomes a policy lever, it starts bending the signals markets rely on. And that question will return with inflation and central banks. From a wider angle, the danger becomes clear. If people confuse money with wealth, they start believing that adding more money means adding more prosperity. It sounds simple. Add more numbers and life improves. But money does not produce food, train engineers, build bridges, repair roads, or design software. It measures and transfers value that already exists. It helps people compare, exchange, save, and plan. When money is stable, prices carry useful information. Profit and loss become easier to read. Saving and investment make more sense because people can trust the unit they are using. But when money becomes unstable, the signals blur. Prices move for reasons that are harder to understand. Profit may reflect currency changes rather than real value. Loss may punish people for misreading money rather than customers. Then exchange becomes less clear, entrepreneurship harder to judge, and saving more risky. The tool that helped coordination starts distorting it. That evening, Tomasz sits at his kitchen table and opens his banking app again. The balance is there on the screen. No smell of rubber tires, no sound of gears turning. Just a number. And yet that number can still do things. It paid the mechanic. It can pay for groceries next week. Part of it can wait for some future expense he cannot yet name. The bicycle now stands in someone else's hallway. His car runs smoothly again. Outside, Warsaw moves as always. Trams pass, shops close, lights appear in apartment windows. Nothing visible has changed, but value has become fluid. It is no longer tied to one object. It can move, shift, and be redirected. As long as money remains stable, that movement connects millions of strangers. If that stability weakens, the numbers remain on the screen, but the trust behind them begins to shake. Thomas closes the banking app. The number remains, but the bicycle is gone. The repair is paid for, and tomorrow's groceries are already possible. That is the quiet power of money. It does not create wealth by itself. It does not bake bread, repair engines, teach skills, or build roads. It carries value from one exchange to another, from one person to another, and sometimes from today into tomorrow. As long as people trust it, money makes the world smoother. Strangers can cooperate without knowing each other. Goods can move. Work can be compared. Plans can stretch beyond the present. But when people mistake money for wealth itself, they start to believe that more numbers mean more prosperity. And that is where a useful tool becomes a dangerous illusion. Here is the thought to carry forward. Money is not wealth. It is the tool that helps value move. And once value can move, the next question appears immediately. What happens when we choose not to spend it today? In the next episode, we follow that question into saving, not as hoarding, but as moving value through time.
If what you have just watched made you pause and think, that was the intention. This film is only one chapter from a much larger story. The book it comes from explores 34 of the most misunderstood ideas in economics. It began as something personal. A father trying to explain the world to his teenage daughter. Why prices rise. Why some societies prosper while others struggle. Why good intentions often produce unexpected consequences. The film shows only part of the picture. The book goes further, with additional chapters and ideas that never appeared in the series. If you would like to explore the full journey, What People Get Wrong About Economics is available now on Amazon. The link is in the description below.